Hi everyone, if you're new here, I'm Aude, a writer and filmmaker. I've written novels, short films, and short stories over the years in French and English. And today I'm going to a writer's residency, an Arvon writer's residency in West Yorkshire in the UK. So it was a long journey to go there. I had to take multiple trains, and as usual, the trains were running late or having issues. And once I arrived, I had to take a bus, but the bus didn't show up. And then I was considering taking a taxi, but the view is beautiful. Look at that. So this Arvon residency is a selective one. I was selected after submitting an extract from my novel and applying. It is actually one of the most competitive writing residency in the UK. So this is the small cottage where I was to spend a week. So as you can see, it is your average cottage, very much, rustic. This is a kind of place where you eat and you sleep and you write, and that's about it. No distractions, not a lot of things to do. All the main action is actually in the main building, which I am going to show you later. But what makes this writing residency unique is that it is, as usual, in a remote town, which is known as Sylvia Plath, the writer, her resting place. So although I am in a remote town in the countryside, there are a lot of tourists going there and a lot of fans of Sylvia Plath going there to see her resting place. The other thing is that the writing residency, so there are around 10 of us that are attending the writer's residency, and we are all in different rooms, and 10 of us are coming from the whole world, which is very, very exciting. So as you can see, the first thing I did was to unpack. If you've seen my previous video, you know that I've packed fairly light-ish for me, but I had loads of things to unpack, mainly my notebooks and my laptop, because I really wanted to start writing before getting to meet everyone and our tutors. This residency is a little bit less hands-off than other residencies. One thing, however, that remains the same are the insects in my cottage. If you remember my previous writers' residencies, there were insects everywhere because I usually do these in the countryside. But the view is stunning. Waking up every day to that view really made living with insects, or should I say insects living with me because they're small enough not to pay rent, it was worth it. So like I said, everything that was exciting happening was in the main building. In the main building, we had the kitchen, we had our study room, and we had, different bookshelves with loads of books that we could read and discover, as well as pictures of previous famous writers that have attended this residency. Every morning, we'll just come to the kitchen and fix ourselves some food, anything we want. I'm a sweet breakfast kind of girly, so I have cake, but sometimes I also have scrambled eggs. I truly believe in cake and fruit for breakfast. This is literally my mantra and everything I do. Then after breakfast, we'll meet in one of these rooms for a more hands-on session, because unlike other writers' residency, this one had writing kind of like workshops where we'll learn more about, basically the basics of writing with our tutors that would teach us stuff. So we met our tutors. Some of them are award-winning writers, And after our lessons, we'll have lunch. Lunch was made by the different cooks working in the place. So like I've said, we have tutors. A lot of them are award-winning writers, and they will teach us lessons on craft, on plot, on descriptions, on how to write good novels. So although these are lessons that I mean, it's good to have a reminder. Most of us know what this is about, but it's good to have a reminder on how to improve and how to get better. The thing that you have to know about these residencies is that it's more hands-on, right? So you have to go through the lessons every day, and then you know that at the end of the day, you read an extract from your novel. So you had to be prepared. Then we'll have dinner together. So the dinner was pretty exciting because we'll cook in teams and we'll follow recipes created by cooks. It was a bonding experience. It was fun. It was extra workful, but it was always exciting to, get to eat and get to cook what others have made. And also sometimes, well, I'm a little bit competitive, so sometimes trying to, compare what they've made and what you've made. And then at night, after we'll gather and talk and have fun, I'll come back to my room and I'll write some more. Like I've said, this is a hands-on residency, so I knew that my work will be workshopped. When your work is workshopped, that means that people read your work, your peers and your tutors. They give you feedback on that. You often read your own work out loud. Then you get the feedback, then you work on the feedback, then you rewrite your work, and then you read it again. So that's pretty much what I was working on, because I really wanted my extract to be as strong as possible. And then at night, I'll read Joan Didion, and her books are inspiring and a reminder of who I am, and the struggles I face as a writer, the turmoil, the things that don't work, the money issues are stuff that, makes me who I am as a writer. There are universal issues, and being in that place, in such an important writing place, surrounded by my peers from all over the world, was a good reminder of who I am and how not to forget it. So that was a good thing. I was not too afraid of workshopping or reading my work in front of people. The reason why is that I'm a seasoned writer. I've been doing that for more than half of my life at this point. The other reason is that I'm sure a lot of people were really great, but at the end of the day, you're here to improve, right? Although I don't like reading out loud, it was okay. It wasn't the worst thing. So, next days, the weather is starting to turn to shade. As you can see, I was hoping that the rain would go away, which is wishful thinking in Britain, but it didn't. I tried to read and I thought that I would win against the rain, but the rain won against me. So I came back inside and decided to instead step into the study room. So the study room, or the library, was a great place to read, to basically discover some of the books that are there. So there are a lot of books by the different tutors who have taught at Arvon for decades. There are also books from the visiting tutors who come from one night only to teach us more of a practical side of a writing career. There's also books by writers who attended workshops or visited the place. And I hope that one day I have my book there. So it was good to have, that quiet place where I could take time to not just write, but also read and resource. So I have to talk to you a little bit about what my novel is about. So during this residency, I worked on Project 31. Project 31 is a novel that I've been working on for more than a decade now. This is the first book that challenged me to a point that I had never expected. This is the first book where I got to meet writer's block, I got to shake his hand, and I got to despise him. I had never experienced writer's block before, and it was a first for me. So, what is Project 31 about? Project 31 is a story of a childhood friendship that comes to an end among the backdrop of the patriarchy and of the pressure that it puts on young women of African descent, to settle down, to have a child, to raise a family. And that story of a childhood breakup has been in my mind for years, but it was in a very, very different iteration. I wrote 600 pages of it at some point, and then I discarded everything. Talk about killing your darlings, I guess. So, this is a book that I didn't really think I would ever be able to write. And then I decided that actually, although I wanted to talk about the patriarchy and love and relationship, I mainly wanted to talk about the end of a friendship between these two young girls that grew up together and witnessed traumatic events together. That was very important, especially friendship between two black African young women of French descent. So I worked on that novel for a while, and that was good. The inspiration wasn't always there, but I was still trying to force myself to write a little bit. At night time, we'll have a visiting tutor that came, and that was pretty exciting. She is a writer that basically has had a lot of commercial success with her novel, and she was explaining to her how she got to get an agent through competition. And the funny thing is, she got an agent through a competition, and it was an agency that she had contacted before she won the competition with the same manuscript, and they had rejected her. So she had a lot of experience and a lot of advice that was really helpful. Sometimes we'd also read extract from our favorite novels to get a sense of how to write them and what made these novels great. And once again, not a fan of reading out loud, but it was good practice. One thing that me and the other participants would be to go for a walk after lunch, which is great. And we visited Sylvia Plath's grave and the cemetery in the town. This is a very small town. There's not a lot of things to do except going to the cemetery. I've always loved cemeteries. They're very peaceful. And this was a beautiful place, to reflect on Sylvia Plath's impact and the love that people still have for her after decades after she's gone. So very restful, and pondering about death really I feel like it makes you a better writer, because you don't have that much time to write, so you really have to do everything that you can do in the time that you've been allocated, and we're very lucky for that to be alive and for now and to write. So then I'll come back to the residency, and I try to sit anywhere that'll be quiet, because I don't really I hate doing the same thing over and over again. I like having a routine, but I hate doing the same thing over and over again. I actually like having diversity throughout my day, even if with a routine. So I don't see the point in me writing in my small cottage all the time, where I can literally write anywhere else. So I decided to work on one chapter of Project 31. So I'm having issues with this chapter because it involves a character I'm not really interested in, but he's important because his appearance is a bit of a coming of age for the main character. He helps her realize things about men, and and he starts the trajectory that she's on until the very end of the book. So I was a little bit stuck because my motivation wasn't really there, but I had plotted the book. I know what happens chapter by chapter, and in this story, chapters are extremely important. Why? Because I've created chapters based on hours. Every chapter represents an hour in the life of my main character, or a day in the life of my main character. And that way was very important for me to know what would happen in each chapter, and also to have a better understanding of how time impacts my character. Because for some people, if it's 11 hours 31 minutes, it's not just 11 hours 31 minutes, it's something that has a significance for them, because let's say they learn how to read at 11 hours 31 minutes. So time is of the essence in that book. So I decided to push myself and to actually go straight to the meat of the story. I've realized that I was bored because I was feeling too much in the chapter, adding unnecessary details, because I didn't want to go to the meat of what the characters do. And that's how the residency ended. It was great. I worked on my project and I'm very thankful. Have you attended a residency before? Let me know in the comments. Bye. Thanks for watching. Like the video and subscribe to my channel for more writing and filmmaking related videos. If you want to support my small business and my work, look at my website as well as my books available in most online stores. Thanks.